What's up guys? So as I mentioned in my previous video there, we finally have the opportunity now to do a nitrocellulose job, so that's long overdue, I know. Anyway, we're going to be painting this Stratocaster with nitrocellulose lacquer. It's going to get an opaque white finish, and then in the clear coat I'm going to use some amber to make it look yellowed out, because the guy's doing a relic job and he wants it to have that very vintage look to it. That's also why we're using the lacquer, so that we get a nice thin vintage feel, etc., etc. It's going to look as old, authentic as possible. Anyway, this has already been grain filled, and it's been taped. Sorry, taped off and everything. I don't know if you can see that because the tape's pretty much the same color as the wood, but it's been taped, and now it's time to put on the sanding sealer. So what I have here, and you can probably tell because this is red, that it's been used to hold up other stuff that I've painted. But anyway, this is some lacquer sanding sealer. I've got my lacquer thinner, mixing cup. I'm not going to use any retarder today because it's not particularly humid, so I don't really need to worry about that. And then I've just got a popsicle stick to stir it with. Now this stuff is awful for you. It's very carcinogenic, smells like dying. It's awful. So make sure when you're working with it that you use a respirator and preferably some gloves. I'm not using gloves right now because I'm not going to get any on my hands because I think I'm awesome. But yeah, use gloves. Alright guys, so this stuff dries really fast. Obviously I waited for the haze to clear out of the room before I started filming this, but it goes on thin because it's lacquer, so put it on thin, dries really fast. Hopefully you noticed I was spraying it on there fairly lightly, and I was using a 1.5 millimeter nozzle, so it's not as thin as the other lacquer, the color and stuff, so you kind of want to use a slightly bigger nozzle like a 1.5 or a 1.4. There's really not much to say about sanding sealer. It's pretty simple stuff. The sealer was mixed at a ratio of about 20% reducer. The actual sealer was a little thinner coming out of the can than I expected it to be, but I made sure that there was nothing settled in the bottom or anything like that. So looks good, and it sprayed out nicely. So really, what more can you ask for? that about covers everything you need to know for sanding sealer. Obviously, different application methods are going to look different, but there are various ways that you can do it. And yeah, not much more to it than that. So what I'm going to do now is let this dry overnight, come back tomorrow, apply another coat, see how it looks. Quite possibly let it dry overnight and apply another coat after that as well. And then give it about 3 days to make sure that the solvents are out of there and it's ready to go for me to sand. Then I'm going to sand it flat, make sure that I don't have a lot of orange peel in there. That'll make my life easier later. And then it'll be time to get going on the color. So stay tuned, we got that coming up soon.